in here. And that's why Ammon can say that.
Right.
And then, of course, he's now going to go through, and we're going to teach the basics of the creation, the fall, and the atonement, or redemption, over here in verse 39. Just the fundamental things that one needs to... If you don't understand that, the order and the importance of the creation, the fall, and the plan of redemption, everything else is going to be off base.
Ever since 2 Nephi 2, Father Lehi, we see this consistently with Book of Mormon prophets. You teach the atonement in the context of the full plan. Creation, fall, redemption, resurrection,
so many more
judgment.
questions are answered, so many more things are clear when you understand. If you don't, then things just don't come together for people. So it's a great example for us.
This is a great lesson about what you teach in all dispensations in all places, all missionaries. You teach the plan of salvation. As it says in Alma 12:15, God gave them commandments after He had given them the plan of salvation. Because the commandments don't make much sense unless they're put in the context of the three acts of this play that we're in.
And in some ways, the atonement is limited in how much power it has until we really understand what has happened to us because of the fall.
Yes. I want to point out, too, Clyde, you bracketed this, but in verse 37, one of the other things that we always teach in all dispensations and places is the history of God's people.
And that's the title page purpose of the Book of Mormon, what great things God has done for our fathers.
And here he begins, of course, with Father Lehi, to give them the history of what's led up to them at that particular time. Our missionaries today, you begin teaching the history of God's people with Joseph Smith and bringing them from Joseph Smith up to the contemporary scene. So these are the two things that are always brought out in all gospel dispensations, the plan of salvation and the history of God's people.
Well, and this is the response every missionary is hoping for. After he hears it, verse 41, he began to cry unto the Lord, saying, O Lord, have mercy, according to thy abundant mercy which thou hast had upon the people of Nephi. Have it on me and my people. Now, what you don't want to happen in your discussion is have the person fall down as if dead. But, of course, we know this is kind of a pattern in the Book of Mormon. There seems to be some kind of typology here.
Well, maybe if we were dealing with people that had been as far steeped in these false traditions and as far away from the truth as they had been, that this kind of a really remarkable thing happens because they're coming from...
Of course, it happened to Alma the Younger as well. I mean,
and the four sons of Mosiah were there as witnesses of that.
There seems to be something, it shows that these people have been spiritually dead up to this point, whether they're people who have left the truth like Alma the Younger or people who've never been near it. And they fall down as if dead because spiritually they have been dead.
Is this a type and shadow of a baptism where you bury the old
Romans
dead
6:4,
person?
the old man or woman of Christ is buried and then rises with new life.
Very
Isn't
good.
it interesting, in fact, since you've talked about that, it's in the beginning of verse 19, everyone's upset that the king seems to have died. After 2 days and 2 nights, they were about to put the body in the sepulcher, which means it's on the third day.
Yes, and on the morrow, verse 8 says, they're going to wait for 3 days. And there's another type.
Well, and it's remarkable here to me. We've got this little Lamanitish woman, Abish, and who I sometimes she's a closet member of the church. She's had to keep this quiet, been converted, as it says here, through the remarkable vision of her father. And so she's known, and now her desire is to want to have others feel and know what she knows is true. And then we get quite a dichotomy of responses here. We get some of those who were at the waters of Sebus when Ammon was slain, those wicked men who see a chance to kill Ammon, who has also collapsed.
Let's bring up the conversion of Lamoni's wife first here in verse 10, where she comes in and says, Ammon, I've heard that you're a great prophet. Come and look at my husband and let's talk about this, because they want to bury him and I don't want to bury him. And
he doesn't stink to me.
No. I wonder how many wives think of that of their husbands. I hope all of them do.
And vice versa.
And he asks her in verse 9, believest thou this? And she basically says, yes, I do. And then this remarkable statement.
What is that based on?
The same willingness to believe that Lamoni had. I'll believe all your words.
And she's heard it from her servants. Secondhand.
Well, and of course, then Ammon raises Lamoni, who bears his testimony. But look at verse 13. He says, I have seen my Redeemer, and he shall come forth and be born of woman. That actually goes back to the Great Spirit part. Yes. Because this Great Spirit is not just the premortal Jehovah. I know that by being born of woman, he's going to become the man Jesus. So his understanding of who his Lord is no longer just a Great Spirit, not even the premortal Jehovah. It is Jesus Christ. Yes. In the flesh, who will suffer and die and then rise. So somehow, he's really been taught during this period of being passed out.
Let's talk about Abish. Can we for a second again?
Sure.
Yeah. Here she is, a Lamanitish woman, and she's been converted unto the Lord for many years. This is in verse 16, on account of a remarkable vision of her father. We don't know whether she had the vision of her father had a vision. But anyway, she's converted. I wonder how many people in the history of the world are there who, through some remarkable circumstance, have come to a knowledge of the gospel of Jesus Christ, and we never hear about them.
Yeah. Or it may not be as remarkable. It may be small little miracles in their lives that prepared them. I mean, I think that's what's significant. In every mission field, the Lord has been preparing people.
Well, yes. And isn't there something here as far as another aspect of missionary work? There are those on the other side of the veil who are participating as well. And we don't know how much help we get from others. I have a quote here from Elder Melvin J. Ballard. Why is it that sometimes only one of a city or a household receive the gospel? That's Abish, right? Mm-hmm. It has been made known unto me that it is because of the righteous dead who had received the gospel in the spirit world, exercising themselves, and in answer to their prayers, elders of the church were sent to the homes of their posterity, that the gospel might be taught to them, and through their righteousness they might be privileged to have a descendant in the flesh do the work for their kindred dead. I wonder how much that is going on every day.
Every day, all the time. And women are really involved in this aspect of the gospel. And with that, we have about a minute left, Camille. I wonder if you can sum up our discussion here today, covering Alma chapters 17 through, we didn't quite get to 20, but it'll do.
Well, this is one of our favorite, I mean, it's a remarkable part of the Book of Mormon, with a story that inspires all of us to desire lifelong missionary duties. That a year and a half or 2 years is not what we're talking about, but this is being a lifetime missionary, and the way these four sons of Mosiah and their companions inspire us, but also members like Abish and Lamoni and his queen. The fact that it's not giving recognition to them, but in every single case, they bear testimony of Jesus Christ. The first words out of Lamoni's mouth, the first words as Lamoni's queen and he are raised up again, are to praise Jesus Christ as their Redeemer. These missionaries become types of Christ as they suffer and are willing to give their very lives, but to be servants, true servants, that their examples bear witness that they really do believe this. To me, that message, and an entire people, that all of Lamoni's people make that tremendous change, and it doesn't have to take a lot of time.
Thank you, Camille. This introduces this people of great faith, and we'll continue discussing these people of great faith in our next discussions. Thank you. It's been a pleasure being with you.